Hello and welcome to the Slovak Snapshots podcast, created by Aktuality.sk. My name is Zorislav Poliak and I'm bringing you the most captivating and important stories from across Slovakia. Each week we'll dive into the headlines that matter, from breaking news to heartwarming stories. So, whether you're a local or a global listener interested in Slovakia, we got you covered. It is March 16th and you're listening to the Slovak Snapshots podcast. The Ministry of Culture wants to control public television. The Ministry of Culture of the Slovak Republic has submitted a draft law on Slovak television and radio to the shortened interministerial consultation procedure. The current institution, Radio and Television of Slovakia, should not be formally split. The Director General would be elected by a 7-member board composed of 3 ministerial nominees and 4 elected in Parliament. There should also be a program council, the majority of which is elected by the National Council of the Slovak Republic. The institution of a contract with the state supplementing the funding is to be reintroduced. The proposed legislation, the Slovak Television and Radio Act, doesn't bring about a formal division of these two institutions, but it creates conditions for their independent development, brings a higher form of flexibility, and introduces new elements and combinations of public and private law into the process of election and dismissal of the general director of the institution, into the process of creation of the Slovak Television and Radio Council, and introduce a new institute of Pro-Program Council. The ministry outlined in the material. The Slovak Television and Radio Council is to oversee the institution's compliance with the law and the use of public funds, elect and dismiss the Director General, and approve the draft budget. It will be made up of 3 nominees of the Ministry of Culture, 2 appointed without a proposal and 1 on the proposal of the Minister of Finance of the Slovak Republic. They should be experts in broadcasting, economics, law or information technology. The 4 members of the council are elected by the National Council of the Slovak Republic by a majority of the members present. The program council is to assess and control the program of Slovak television and radio in terms of compliance with the public service nature of broadcasting. 9 of its 11 members are to be elected by Parliament. 2 of them should be chosen among the employees, 1 for television and 1 for radio. The draft law respects the abolition of license fees in 2023 and also full funding from the state budget. It reintroduced the institute of a contract with the state, where the Slovak Republic obliged Slovak television and radio to use the public funds provided exclusively for programs in the public interest or for improving the technical infrastructure of the public institution, the ministry said. RTVS is in a state where changes are needed, agreed ministers who spoke on the issue. The questions were related to the submitted version of the draft of changes in the TV radio, which substantially changes the creation of the bodies of the public broadcaster. Justice Minister Boris Susko said there is agreement in the coalition on the necessity of changes in the current RTVS, while Agriculture and Rural Development Minister Richard Takáč joined the critics of the changes in the scope of TV broadcasting. RTVS is not fulfilling its public service mission, he said. The sharpest one was Environment Minister Tomáš Taraba, who repeated his thoughts from a Tuesday status on the social network. He criticized the person of the Director General, Luboš Machaj, and the wasteful use of expensive external services, but especially the absence of a broader spectrum of opinion in the content of the broadcast. The proposal was strongly condemned by the opposition. The opposition described the efforts to create a new way of forming the public media bodies, in which the culture minister and the parliamentary majority will have a decisive influence, as an attempt to abolish the RTVS public service and to transform the media house into a propaganda house of the current government's opinion. Ivan Korčok, a former ambassador and presidential candidate, described the Ministry of Culture's draft legislation on RTVS as a takeover of the institution. According to him, the representatives of the ruling coalition are deforming the media space. RTVS employees also wrote an appeal to the government, asking the Ministry of Culture to withdraw the proposal and to create a society-wide debate on the future of the public service media. The Ministry of Culture wants to approve the proposal in a shortened legislative procedure. They are also concerned that the current wording of the law may result in the political control of RTVS by any governmental power, and remind that free and independent public service media should serve all citizens of Slovakia, not the power ambitions of any party. We want to continue to create freely, to preserve pluralism of opinions, and to work without restrictions or fear. The RTVS employees appeal to Ministry of Culture Martina Šimkovičová. Gašpar is in effect already the director of the Slovak Information Service. Pavel Gašpar became the deputy speaker of the Slovak Information Service, SES. According to the statement, he has acquired the capabilities of the director of the intelligence service. The appointee was on that date, following the statute of the Slovak Information Service, entrusted with the rights, duties and responsibilities of the director of the Slovak Information Service as a person proposed by the government of the Slovak Republic to the President of the Slovak Republic for appointment to the post of the director of the Slovak Information Service. SES spokeswoman Katarína Némová informed. Gašpar was nominated by the government in February to become SES director. Slovak President Zuzana Čaputová said she was considering leaving the appointment of the new director of the Secret Service to her successor. The government then approved a change to the SES statute and dismissed Gašpar from his position as a state secretary of the Ministry of Justice of the Slovak Republic. According to the current provisions, the SES director is appointed and dismissed by the president on the proposal of the government. Since the post of SES director is currently still unused, a proposal for the appointment of Pavel Gašpar to the post of director was initially submitted to the government. According to the president Zuzana Čaputová, the change in the leadership of the SES is not such a priority for the time being that she will have to deal with it soon. Moreover, the government didn't inform the president in advance about Gašpar's nomination. Pavel Gašpar is a lawyer, attorney at law, and last time was a state secretary of the Ministry of Justice, who has met with Smer party top faces and Miroslav Böder at a hunting cabin in Čifáre. In the past, he was briefly accused in connection with the Čifáre cabin, which was backed by National Criminal Agency. Miroslav Böder met with Robert Fico, Robert Kaliňák, and attorneys Pavel Gašpar and Marek Para. Gašpar's accusation concerned the crime of perjury and perjury in preparation. However, the supervising prosecutor dropped the charges a few weeks later and also discontinued the prosecution of the case. By changing the statute of the Slovak Information Service, the government bypassed the president's power of appointment and assumed full responsibility for the functioning of the SES. In response to Pavel Gašpar becoming SES deputy, head of state Zuzana Čaputová said in a statement, "It is obvious that by changing the statute of the SES, the government bypassed the appointment power of the president. There was no reason for such a deplorable procedure, and, unfortunately, there is no effective legal remedy for it either. By taking this step, the government has assumed full responsibility for the functioning of the SES. The president responded. Conference League participant was knocked out of the cup by the Village. The last time Slovan Bratislava missed the Slovak Cup final, it was due to a bizarre administrative error. It happened in the 2018-19 season. Slovan finished in the second round. In the playoffs, Marin Ljubicic, who had previously played for Dunajská Streda at the same stage of the competition, also played for Slovan Bratislava, thus breaking the competition regulations. Slovan lost 0-3 and Village Horné Orešany advanced to the next round. Since then, Slovan has won the cup twice, and this year it was determined to atone for the last two final losses to Trnava. Slovan had already crashed out in the quarterfinals. Once again, he ended up on the shield of the club from the village, this time saying goodbye to the competition after a poor performance on the pitch. Podbrezová triumphed 3-1 at the Těhelné pole. No good performance from our side today. We created fewer chances, had poor movement and spoiled the easy balls. I can't say that we didn't want to. It was weak today. There was not one above average performance. Boris Kitka, assistant of coach of Vladimír Weiss, assessed for Joj Sport. Kitka summed up the mismanaged match soberly but critically. We can't be gentlemen now. We have to accept it. We are professionals. We crashed out after not a good performance. I will not justify it. We didn't do our job. We have to be self-critical. Slovan Bratislava hasn't lost at home since September. Slovan has the best and most experienced squad in the league and the highest budget. Podbrezova's squad is the second youngest, only slightly older than Žilina's. A club from such a small village has never operated in the top league before. Podbrezová has only 3,500 inhabitants. If the whole village came to Těhelné pole, it wouldn't fill it even 1/6 of the way. The club's budget is one of the lowest in the Nikkei League, with Stanislav Lobotka owning 35% of the club's shares. Slovan was the favorite at odds of 1.3 to 9.8.
Never boring Slovakia.
Did you know that Count Moritz August Beňovský, a Slovak adventurer and self-declared king of Madagascar, led a life straight out of an adventure novel? Escaping Russian captivity, he charmed his way to Madagascar, where he was proclaimed Ampan Sakabe, the king of Madagascar, by local tribes in 1776. His diverse life also saw him as a colonizer, writer, military leader across Europe, and the first European to navigate the North Pacific Ocean. And there you have it, another The Slovak Snapshots podcast in the books. We hope you enjoyed this weekly adventure through the newscape of Slovakia. Remember, knowledge is power, so go ahead and impress your friends at the next gathering with your newfound facts. But hey, don't take yourself too seriously. Life's too short not to enjoy a good laugh. We'll be back next week with more stories that will keep you informed and entertained. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep sharing those lovely smiles.